What's going on, everybody? Andrew Thompson here of the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. Joining me today is a finalist in the ROH Women's World Title Tournament. She is the new Texas Pro Women's Champion, and she is also, like myself, a member of this youth movement in professional wrestling. Whether we're in the ring, writing, or interviewing, we are taking over. She is the one and only Rok-C. What's going on, Rok-C? How you feeling?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I jokingly mentioned the youth movement thing, but for you to be not even anywhere near your prime yet, and to have the accolades that you already have, like, have you had the time to really sit back and reflect on what you've done?
Yeah, so I actually have to kind of stop myself every now and then and do that because I feel like I still feel like that 10-year-old little girl that was just like writing down signatures and coming up with gear and names, and it's crazy to just like have all this unfold right in front of my eyes, and sometimes I don't actually just sit there and kind of just let everything sink in,
Mm.
because it's really crazy. It really is.
I mean, we talked about it a little bit before we started recording. You are the current New Texas Pro Women's Champion. I think you're the second person ever to hold that title, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. You have a title defense coming up against Killer Kelly in a couple of weeks at the Olajuwon show. Are you amped to be in the ring with Killer Kelly?
I've never been in the ring with Kelly, and I love first time matchups. And I've actually been wanting to wrestle Killer Kelly for quite a while. So I'm so excited that New Texas Pro put that match together.
And now, of course, the big story heading into the weekend, September 12th at Death Before Dishonor, is going to be yourself and Miranda Alizé in the ROH Women's Title Tourney Final. Throughout your schedule, like, probably my favorite match that I've seen from you so far is the one that you had with Sumi Sakai, specifically in the tournament. Like, what was it kind of sort of cool to be in the ring with Sumi? Like, she's a vet in every sense of the word. I think she's been in the business for maybe 30 years, maybe even over that. Like, what was it kind of cool to share the ring with somebody of her stature and somebody that has been in the business for so long and has done so much?
Yeah, it was honestly really cool. Um, I feel like every match that I'm in, I kind of learn a little bit from every person, and I definitely learned so much from Sumi Sakai.
Mm.
Um, it was pretty nerve-wracking just because, you know, she's been at Ring of Honor for so long. She's done so much. She's wrestled in Japan, which is like a dream destination of mine. Um, and she was the first woman of honor champion.
Mm.
So and I'm trying to become the first Ring of Honor women's champion. So it
Mm.
was kind of like a little bit of like a little bit, probably a lot of bit of nerves, just because she is who she is.
You talk about Japan being one of your destinations. Like, if you had to sort of get your free pick of who you could, or not necessarily who, but a promotion or organization that sort of has your eye, what promotions in Japan are sort of like have the attention of Rok-C right now? Like, I know a lot of people sort of point their or point the finger to Stardom, and I know they just had, I think they recently just had a big rematch from the match that it was Utami Hayashishida and Shuri, from that crazy match they had this past summer. Like, and I know Tokyo Joshi Pro has a lot of notoriety. Like, there are some promotions or some people in Japan that you're looking at that you can't wait to share the ring with.
Um, I really want to go to Stardom.
Mm.
Um, I've watched a lot of Stardom for a while. There's this one wrestler. Her name, I feel so bad because I can never really pronounce her name, but it's spelled Giulia.
Yeah,
It might be
I
Julia.
I think it's Julia. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
Julia.
Julia
Yeah.
Laurie. She is
Mm.
really good, and she's very like technical in the ring, and I'm trying to like tune more into like my technical side whenever I am in the ring now. So I feel like we could probably their training is like so intense there because I have a friend Hion that actually went to Japan, but she went to Marvelous, which I wouldn't mind going to Marvelous either.
Mm.
But she came back and taught me so much from Japan, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go there.
And it's funny you mentioned Hyan, because I was going to bring her up. Like, I was going to say you and Miranda, you guys are like you guys aren't strangers to each other. I know you guys both came out of reality of wrestling, but like, do you think there's something to be said, or you think there should be more conversations held about like the amount of talent that reality of wrestling is pushing out there? Like, you got yourself, like I said, Miranda, Hyan, like you just mentioned, you had Zeta Ramirez, who's in NXT, formerly known as AQA. You got Kylie Ray, Ember Moon, like. And I'm missing quite a few people, but like the amount of talent that is coming out of reality of wrestling, I think a lot of people, they notice it, but it's not really being like it's not that much attention being brought to it.
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, I strongly feel that reality wrestling is the best school in Texas,
Mm.
and I actually wanted to train there since I was like 10 years old. Like I knew I was going to train there. Um, I told my parents that once I turned 18, I would move out and go to train at reality wrestling, but it ended up happening earlier than expected, and I started taking Greyhounds over there when I was like 16. Um, but the thing is, like, their training will level you up in so many aspects just because it's a reality of wrestling. Yeah, obviously you have Booker there.
Right.
So it's not just about like wrestling, but it's about like the cameras and being on TV and all these things that you wouldn't necessarily learn on the indies, if that makes sense. So I feel like if I hadn't learned everything I did learn from reality of wrestling and from Booker before going to Ring of Honor, I probably would have been a little lost.
Mm.
But you have all these great trainers at reality wrestling, like you have Booker T, but it's not just him. You have Gino Medina, who's with MLW, and he's amazing. I feel like I've learned most of what I know from him. You have Ryan Davidson there. Um, they're all really great, and reality wrestling is also like this little family, and you hear that a lot about like different promotions and companies, but I'm promise, like, you have Booker there and Charmel there, and Charmel is a huge mom.
Mm.
So I feel like it was also important for me to have that going in at like 16 and going into a new city. I mean, big city. So yeah, I'm super grateful for reality of wrestling. It's definitely the place to be.
Like when something you mentioned, like having Booker T there, I think it's very important. Like in wrestling schools in general, just looking at it from the outside, it's like I think it's just super important to have somebody that's sort of been there and done that at the highest level, or you know they've experienced a great deal and they're sort of world traveled. I think it's always important to have people like that, and so people that have worked on TV that can teach you the ins and outs and the character stuff, and just not more so just to focus on the in-ring stuff, but can teach you like where to look for the camera and all sorts of things like that. So I thought that was a very important thing that you just said.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, hey, so now you had the chance to be the first holder of this iteration of the ROH Women's title, and that's a solid feat. You got, I think there have been four ROH Women's Champions. Of course, it was formerly known as the Women of Honor World Championship. But like, how cool would it be to add Rok-C's name to that list? You'll be the fifth overall Women's Champion in ROH, but the first ever to hold this version of the title.
Woo, that gave me the chills as you said that. Just because I feel like it would just mean so much, especially because it's not just that, but it would also be me making history as becoming the youngest
Mm.
champion to ever hold the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. So I feel like it's a little bit of pressure, but I feel like my whole career I've kind of like been put under pressure like this. So I don't think that it's how do I say it? I don't think that it'll be like a weakness of mine to like feel like I have all this pressure. I feel like kind of like you've heard this saying diamonds in the rough.
Mm.
Uh Pressure builds diamonds. I kind of feel like that's me.
So and me and you, we sort of talked about that again, like before we started recording, like having that sort of good pressure. It's still nerves and you still feel the butterflies and all that, but it's like it's more so of that good intensity per se. So like before you go out there and before the match happens, do you have some type of pre-match ritual that you like to do, or you just like to sit back and chill until this go time?
Um, I'll like stretch a little bit, but as I'm doing that, I'll kind of like just be in my old little world. I'm religious,
Mm,
so I do pray before all of my matches. I say a little prayer. Um, and sometimes if I don't do that, like if I don't have time to do that before my matches, which has rarely happened, but if that does happen, I'll kind of like it'll make me a little bit more nervous. I don't know if it's like a comfort thing, but yeah, that's usually my ritual.
do you have any special friends or family tuning in to watch the match on Sunday? Does that add like maybe not pressure, but more so just that good feeling that there'll be people that have seen you along this journey, possibly get to see you have this major moment. Do you know if anybody's gonna be tuning in?
Yeah, so my uncles are gonna be watching. I used to watch wrestling with them when I was really little, and they're so excited. They think it's so crazy just because they also watched Ring of Honor. They're like
Hmm.
diehard wrestling fans. So they think it's so like wild to kind of. I talked about it so much when I was younger, and now I'm like actually making it happen. Um, my uncle actually, he wanted to be a wrestler. That was like his biggest dream, but he grew up with heart problems, so
Mm.
he was never able to like start training. So he's so proud of everything I'm doing right now, and just like for me to be able to like do all this and kind of make him happy and make him proud and kind of see his face when like things like this happen. Like he was so excited when he found out that I was going to be in the finals. Um, but same for my parents. Like they're so excited. They're actually going to be there.
Oh,
They're going to be
okay.
in attendance at the pay-per-view, so that's really exciting.
Talk about pressure. There you go. That-
Right?
that's it. But
But they've been there. They would go to a lot of my indie shows.
okay.
They went when I won the Diamonds Championship. So uh, yeah, they're so supportive.
They've been there for all the big accomplishments. I'm sure Ring of Honor, if they can, they're probably gonna try to catch them on camera.
Oh, for sure. My
Get the
mom's
good.
like, please don't because I'm gonna be crying.
And so they try to get the good crowd shot. But I wanted to ask you, like, since you've been working with Ring of Honor, like, what have you sort of made of the atmosphere there, like, and how have you been treated by your colleagues and staff members alike?
The atmosphere is so great there. Um, it like never feels like you're walking on eggshells. And the first time that I went to Ring of Honor, I mean that's pretty scary. You know, you're going into like a major company, not really knowing what to expect, not really knowing anyone.
Mm,
Um, and the first time I went and I met Maria, she was, oh my gosh, she's amazing. Um, I remember the first thing she told me was like, don't be nervous.
mhm.
Treat this like this is your home. Like everybody's very welcoming here. And that made me feel so much better, especially because it was like all those things combined, and then also like just being so nervous just by being at Ring of Honor here. Um, so yeah, she made it so welcoming, and so did everybody else. And I love being there. Like every time I've gone there, it just feels like the same thing that I said about reality wrestling. Like everybody is just like so supportive, and everybody's so awesome, and it's just great there.
Yeah, I think like something you said about Maria being very comforting, like as you came in, I think it's kind of cool because like when you look at the field of talents that were in the tournament, a couple of those people, if not half those people, that was probably their first time in Ring of Honor. So they were like right there in that same boat with you. So you all had to sort of come to that, have that sort of feeling of like, yeah, it's gonna be okay. You guys just get used to it together type thing. I think that's like a cool dynamic within it. And then mixing that in with people like Angelina Love and Sumi Sakai, who have been in Ring of
Yeah,
Honor for quite some time.
definitely. Yeah, and they were also very welcoming. Angelina a little bit, but I also the first time I went, I was also they brought in Hyon and Laney Luck
Mm.
at the same time that they brought me in, and we all came from reality wrestling, and we're all very close. So I think that kind of helped tremendously. Is that we kind of like we were all doing this together.
Mm. And I wanted to ask you about your match against Quinn McKay, man. I think Quinn, I think she's had like probably 15 matches, and she like you see the progression throughout the sort of the months and the past year or so. Like, what was it kind of cool to be able to share the ring with Quinn, and like, of course, she's like the resident ROH backstage correspondent and interviewer and stuff. But like, it was cool. I'm assuming it was kind of cool to like see her step away from that and get back in the ring.
It was really cool. And I think like a lot of people underestimate Quinn a little bit because
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people were like, "Oh, she's she belongs in the back. She's just an interviewer," but she's really not. Like she actually came into wrestling wanting to be a wrestler,
Mm.
and she ended up like falling in love with interviewing. But she did love wrestling, and she still does love wrestling, and you
Mm.
can tell that when like I could tell that when I was wrestling her. And so honestly, that was probably like one of the most competitive matches I've had. And I would wrestle Quinn like every week if I could.
I said I remember back in April. I think it was Mania weekend. You were in a 3-way with GCW, and I think it was yourself, Billy Starks, and Sky Blue. I believe you're familiar with Sky, like, and what was it sort of been like to sort of like see her get this big boost lately, and like you two are like on the up and up at like the exact same time. Like, of course, she had the match on AEW Dark, which eventually led to her getting a surprise announcement about her being added to the AEW Women's Casino Battle Royal. She was at All Out this past Sunday. Like, what has it sort of been like to sort of see both of you guys sort of come up like literally at the exact same time?
Yeah, it's really cool. I was so happy to see her accomplish that just because like she deserves it so much. Like she's been doing it for a while. She works so hard, and she's such a good person. And I love seeing good people get receive good things. Um, like I said, she deserves it so much. And the first time we met, we like clicked instantly. It's like we're
Mm-hmm.
like the same person. But yeah, I've wrestled her I think twice already. I've been really wanting that third match, but it hasn't happened yet. But yeah, it's really cool. We've become really close, and every time like something like this happens, like I sent her a message and she sent me a message with the Ring of Honor signing, and yeah, she's great. She's great.
Say you just mentioned it. So somebody had some very very special news announced yesterday, and it wasn't myself. Rok-C put pen to paper to sign an agreement with Ring of Honor. So sort of walk me first of all. Well, yeah, first of all, congratulations on that. And sort of
Thank you.
walk me through some of your deciding factors to you saying what. I want to sign with them. Let's do it. And can people who tune in to Ring of Honor regularly expect to see Rok-C for the long haul?
Yeah, so honestly, when I first realized I wanted to be a wrestler,
Mm.
uh I didn't think that I would do as much as I did before. Like how do I say it? WWE was kind of like my dream, you
Mm.
know? I mean it kind of still I feel like everybody that's wrestling is like, "Oh, WWE." But then I kind of like as I was going I like fell in love with the craft, and
Right.
I saw Ring of Honor, and I saw Japan, I saw Stardom, I saw like all these different places, and I was like, I want to do everything. And it's I can't do that. Um, and Ring of Honor is like I said, they were so welcoming, and just being there, uh, I just knew that I was happy there, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I'd be happy in the long run as well. And I feel like right now, I want to do so much Ring of Honor before I do anything else. And so yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait.
As in the potential challengers that like wait on both you and Miranda are like really solid, like and really great. Like you got Trisha Dora waiting in the wings, you got Chelsea Green. I'm sure Sumi Sakai will be in the mix, and like maybe even the possibility of like having some ghost of Ring of Honor's past per se, like for some of the talent, some of the women that were there in the early 2000s when the women's division really focused in on like maybe a Rok-C versus Mercedes Martinez or a Rok-C versus a Mickey James.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
I think that'll be really something cool, and especially because Mercedes, I think her I think she's about to be officially a free agent soon, I believe, or if not, she already is. But yeah, it's gonna be cool to see her, and I wouldn't mind seeing her back in Ring of Honor for sure. And I think it would be kind of cool to see you two mix it up, and Mickey James as well.
Oh, for sure. I've never wrestled Mercedes, and I've always wanted to. So hopefully.
And it's something I did want to touch on. I know you've spoken at length in the past about you deciding to share some of your experiences in wrestling during the speaking out movement. Like as we're like sort of a 4-year removed from that, as you attend events, as you're back in the swing of your career, have you noticed positive changes and like sort of maybe things being more formal? And but before you respond, I do want to commend you on that for sharing your story, and just much respect to you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. It was definitely hard, but I kind of had to just like think about, okay, like I have younger sisters,
Mm,
and I've met so many younger people in this business that are kind of like starting up, that are younger than me, and that are kind of like inspired by me. And I just felt that I wouldn't be doing the right thing if I just kind of like stayed quiet, knowing that these younger girls were coming in and could possibly deal with something like that.
mm,
Um, so yeah. Um, but I've definitely seen a change. Like we see the Ring of Honor Women's Division has started back up, and Maria is in charge of that. And that's so amazing just because you never really see women in power in wrestling.
mm,
Um, and I think it's so important for the woman to have that because uh, the male brain doesn't work the way the woman's brain works, you know?
mm.
And so to kind of like have that insight from a woman's perspective is so different, and I don't think that many people kind of realize that. But we even have Mickey James, and she just did NWA Empower, which was amazing, and it's just so crazy to like see all of these things happen because like I said, for so many years you just saw um a, a load of male wrestlers and like 3 women's wrestlers, and
Mm.
then you saw all these male in power, and you never saw a woman in power. And I just think that wrestling, especially women's wrestling, is at the forefront right now,
Mm.
and it's like on fire. And so that just makes me so happy for the younger generations to come in and just do their thing.
And I definitely think there needs to be more women and more women of color in these high ranking positions in wrestling. Like even when
Oh,
you
100%.
like even when you watch certain products, whether it be a WWE or you could say any wrestling company or any organization, to be honest with you. But like I never thought the idea of having a bunch of men writing storylines for women and like crafting what they believe they would say in certain situations. Like I've even heard Mickey James speak about it in an interview recently. It was just like you can't tell you from a male's perspective can't sit here and tell her like how she would naturally react or how she would respond to a certain situation. So I definitely think it's important for to put more women of color and more but just more women in general in these positions because it's needed.
For sure.
Like like you mentioned that WWE earlier. Like it's kind of cool to see where you are now because I remember like a year ago. I believe it was a year. It was either 2020 or 2019. I think you were in the conga line for for No Way Jose on Raw. Like that thing is like the real performance center right there. Like you see some like you go back and look at some of those conga lines and you see the talent that's in there. It's crazy. But like did you ever like really think about like how much things have changed in like a 4 year, like from where you were then to like where you are now?
Yeah, it's really crazy. That first WWE extra work that I did, that was actually my first pay-per-view that I've ever like been a part of.
Mm.
Growing up, I was never able to go to any pay-per-views, and then I was in the conga line and I was on TV, and then I was like going to my first pay-per-view, but I was backstage doing extra work, and it was just all really crazy. But I feel like I have a lot of full circle moments in wrestling, and like it just kind of keeps my passion going.
And saying, but before we get out of here, Roxy, I wanted to hear from you about this particular subject. Like the subject of mental health is like one that touches a lot of people in a lot of different ways. Like as you're making your way up and you're gaining more notoriety and like getting more attention, like I'm sure along the way, along your journey, there have been points like maybe of self-doubt or, you know, down periods. Like what are some of like sort of the keys that you use to keep pushing forward and sort of to get through some of those mental blocks?
So I definitely think that mental health is really important. And just because I have a platform, I try to kind of keep the conversation open about it. I try to like um if I see like a post that kind of helps me a little bit that day, because you know, like I feel like um everybody's going through something that nobody really talks about.
Mm.
um so I feel like if I'm kind of like sharing something that helps me out, it might just help someone else out. But yeah, I just feel like mental health needs to be a little bit more talked about, just because I mean we've seen, especially in like wrestling, that it can really affect people.
Yeah.
um and it's sad that it gets to that point, but if I feel like if we just talk about it more, um and kind of like break that stigma that's kind of around it, I feel like it'll help so many people.
For sure, for sure. That definitely well said. But Roxy, I appreciate you taking the time to do this, man. Good luck at Death Before Dishonor. Please plug your
Thank you.
social medias, your merch, anything you want to make sure I put it in the description of this video. Oh, audio.
Okay, so my Twitter is the Roxy underscore. My Instagram is underscore Roxy. My Facebook is the real Roxy, and then I have a pro wrestling tees stores up, which is prowrestlingtees.com/ the real Roxy.
There you go. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Go support her. I am Andrew Thompson and the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. Signing off with the one and only Roxy, and we are out. Peace.